Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I as always am Grestar and this is another reaction to a death battle, Gogeta vs Vegito. As always, the link to the original is in the description below. Before I get any further into this video, I want to point out two quick things. So yes, this is a new setup, this is very temporary, like it might last, it still might last a handful of videos, but I'm visiting my older brother Dart right now. Unfortunately, he is not feeling well, so he is not recording this reaction with me, but I am at his place, and so that's why I'm in a very different room with a less than optimal setup, so I apologize for the lighting and, sound or anything like that, but doing the best with what we can. And then the second thing is that I'm not wearing my glasses right now, and ordinarily I just wear like $5 readers. I don't actually have like a prescription, it helps me see better, the slight magnification, it just helps. I don't have to strain my eyes as much. It worked wonders for me when I was working on my Bachelor's of Arts in English and my Master's of Arts, but they broke. The frame just snapped. I wasn't even doing anything. I was on the toilet and it just snapped. Like, it was so weird. Just one morning. So I don't have, they're just on the nightstand over there all broken and sad. One of the lenses popped out. So no glasses. Yay. So yes, we have Gogeta from Dragon Ball versus Vegito from Dragon Ball. This is a very interesting matchup, to me at least. I know that a lot of people are upset because it's not Gogeta versus Omnimon from Digimon, including my younger brother, so I do feel for you. Hopefully we'll have like a return of Gogeta in the future, so y'all can have that. But for now, let's just be happy about this as best we can. I at least am genuinely excited for this one. I think it's a really strange matchup because normally, it's okay, what are these characters' feats? What are these characters' feats? How do their stats compare and everything? But this time, Gogeta is a fusion of Goku and Vegeta using the fusion dance, while Vegito is a fusion of Goku and Vegeta, so the same two people, using the Patara earrings. And so, looking at the feats, I think is going to be really different, because you could say, okay, well, what has Gogeta done and what has Vegito done? But that wouldn't be good enough, because the fusions are, the sum of their parts, or, greater than, even. And so you'd have to look at what Goku has done and what Vegeta has done, but obviously since they're fusions of those two characters, their feats are virtually the same. So, it's interesting. This is what I know. Well, okay, what I know, as in, what I've learned, what people in the comments have said, etc. So, in the past, I had thought that Gogeta must have been the later, fusion, way to fuse, I guess, because Gogeta was stronger, and so surely the stronger one comes later. But instead, apparently, Fusion Dance came first, and according to people, Vegito is actually stronger. And I want to say right now that strength isn't necessarily everything in death battles. You can have a character who's stronger who still ends up losing. And so even if people are correct and Vegito is stronger than Gogeta, that doesn't necessarily say that Vegito will win. But I am leaning toward Vegito right now. Honestly, this is one of the things that makes me lean toward Vegito at this moment. First, my information is very, very limited. I don't know how they're really going to compare these two, as I talked about, because you can't just say what are the feats of Gogeta, what are the feats of Vegito, because they're both Goku and Vegeta fused, and so their strengths are going to depend just on the two characters themselves. If we just take, Gogeta, stuff that he did, and Vegito, stuff that he did, and I say he, but they, technically, I guess, right? Yeah, I just feel like that's going to be inaccurate, because if they were just to go into those forms in their current, state in the anime in Dragon Ball Super, with that power level, you have Gogeta Blue and, Vegito Blue, that's what matters. Not just whatever they did in GT or, Super or Z. I guess Vegito was in Z, right? I think Gogeta actually wasn't technically canon until Super, from what I got from comments. I don't know. But finally getting to the thing, one of the things that makes me think that Vegito might win, that it might actually be the better fusion, is Zamasu. Now, there might be limitations or things that I don't know about, because as far as, I've only watched Dragon Ball Z up until, Videl, just learned to fly, Goten just met Goku for the first time. It's the very beginning of the tournament arc in the Buu saga. So there's a lot that I have not seen. I barely saw Super Saiyan 2, right? When Gohan was fighting Cell. So that's the thing. But as far as limitations go, why would Zamasu and Goku Black not use the fusion dance if that were better than the Potara earrings, because Fusion Zamasu uses the Potara earrings. And I just figure people at that level, they should know what they're doing and probably go for the optimal, like, strategy, right? It seems like the fusion dance might be something that you can do on the fly, considering all you need is a dance, a partner, and, like, you know, about equal power levels from my very little understanding of it. Whereas, you know, the Potara earrings, you need the Potara earrings. And so maybe it is more powerful in that it's more exclusive. You know? I don't know, but like, why would a Kai and, you know, Goku Black, like someone trying to be like the most powerful, why would they not go with the more powerful method? So if it wasn't obvious, I mean, I already said it, but like, I am excited about this death battle. I'm very interested to see how they handle it. So with that, let's get to watching. So here we go for the death battle. Gogeta versus Vegito. Take it away.
Last one!
They got him!
They're so easy to find nowadays.
Yes!
They really are.
With this ultimate power, I can finally conquer
Have
the
Gogeta
world.
fight Vegito!
What?
Oh, come on! It's the ultimate Dragon Ball question! Which fusion of Goku and Vegeta is stronger?
That's fair.
Gogeta, the combo greater than Legends, or Vegito, the mix who
Interesting too how they're
surpassed
using Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta.
They are in many ways identical, yet still quite different. Though in canon, they only have a collective total of 3 brief appearances. To truly
Right.
determine who would win, let's examine all of their material.
So that's
Good,
Z,
do it.
GT, Super, movies, games, guidebooks, toys,
The games
Twitter,
too.
even all
Cool.
the crazy Xenoverse and hero stuff.
Hold on to your Dragon Balls.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
That's right, let's go.
Imagine it's 1995 and you're at a movie theater in Japan.
I would be
You're
1 year
there to
old.
watch Dragon Ball Z Fusion Reborn, and it's gonna be the most radical.
I love they're
movie
using
ever,
Peter
dude.
for this.
I mean, yeah, it was a little weird when Adolf showed up, but then it happened. Goku and Vegeta were pushed to the brink with only one option left. They merged into a single being of amazing power.
Yeah.
Gogeta!
I want to specify
And that
or
would be
clarify
the
real quick.
greatest thing 8-year-old you ever
Well, I think
saw.
Vegito will probably
Yep,
win. I
you
do
picked
like
it.
Gogeta
Fun
better
fact,
in
while
general,
Vegito had
in part
already
because of the
debuted
personality I
moment
project.
earlier, Gogeta was
I imagine
created
he's more
first.
Goku-esque.
After all, the movie had been in production throughout the previous year.
And I like his
Saiyans,
attire.
the
His little
proud
vest is
son of
fun.
royalty and the lower class champion becoming one epic powerhouse? This is the true potential of Goku and Vegeta. Easily a top 5 Dragon Ball moment. Hey, nothing beats the first time we saw Super Saiyan, but I think this comes close.
That was a
Method
cool
of
moment.
Fusion was taught to Goku by the Metamorans, a mysterious alien people who we never actually see.
But I
Okay.
guess they like wearing crop tops with inflatable shoulder pads.
Heck yeah, they
When
do.
Goku taught this fabled
I actually don't know what that
technique,
middle
Lieutenant
transformation
Trunks,
was.
It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
This is the Fusion Dance.
'Cause
On
I know
top of an
Gotenks.
incredibly precise movement routine, this technique requires both parties to match power levels in order to fuse successfully.
Match
A
exactly?
literal personification of the phrase, only as strong as the weakest link.
It's pretty easy to screw up, trust me. But if you nail it, you're the baddest mother effer on the planet.
Though not part of mainline canon, Goku and Vegeta first used this to battle Janemba, a demon basically composed of essence of evil. Probably smells like cats. Gogeta
Okay,
defeated
fair.
him in less than 2 minutes. 20 years later, Gogeta would become canon to conquer one of the most dangerous entities in the multiverse, Broly.
Obviously, Gogeta's super powerful, but I think his most underappreciated skill is how he comes up with awesome attack names, like the Big Bang Kamehameha, Stardust Fall, Meteor
I mean, the
Explosion,
Big Bang Kamehameha
and the
is just a
ultimate
mix
villain
of their
killer,
Gokus and Vegeta's
Stardust
attacks.
Breaker!
A fancy-looking attack that
Those ones, though, the
completely
Stardust ones.
obliterates all traces of evil within a target.
That's how
Oh.
it took out Janemba in one shot. The guy was literally made of evil. Or cats.
Weirdly enough, this is similar to Devilman's Devilmite Beam, which causes the evil within a person to
That's true,
explode
but Goku
You
was so
mean
pure.
Spike? That guy's hilarious. Which obscure character are you gonna reference next? Icarus? Sour Man. General Rildo? Oh man, that guy's just one letter up from General Dill.
He
Over
is.
the years, Gogeta has achieved the empowered forms of Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan Blue, and even Super Saiyan 4 in his battle against Omega Shenron.
Super Saiyan 4
Interesting
is a
how they say
totally
blue
unique
and then
branch of
even Super Saiyan
transformation.
4.
Instead of using Divine Ki like Super Saiyan God, it taps further into Goku and Vegeta's Saiyan bloodline, giving them
Hence the
fuzzy
fur
red
and the
fur
tail,
and Teen
yeah.
Goth eyeshadow.
Goku has also claimed this form increases a Saiyan's inherent aggression, though you wouldn't know it with Gogeta.
Well,
He
every
basically becomes
Super
Dragon
Saiyan
Ball's
form
Bugs
does,
Bunny,
doesn't it?
reveling and messing around with his foe any way he can.
Until the fusion runs out. That's right, the fusion dance has a time limit of 30 minutes. This can be
Oh.
reduced even more if Gogeta uses up a lot of energy. Against Omega Shenron and GT, he split apart after about 10 minutes.
Just more evidence
Okay.
that the amount of power Gogeta possesses is enormous. Even repeatedly striking Broly so hard that the boundaries between dimensions shattered like glass wasn't enough to burn through his time. Hell, he was only in Super Saiyan 1 when he did that. After
Oh.
going blue, Broly didn't stand a chance. Based on earlier in the film, Whis' reaction even implies that Gogeta could possibly take on Beerus.
In Dragon Ball
Interesting.
Heroes, Gogeta continues to prove he's one of the multiverse's S-tier fighters. He even defeated the Crimson Masked Super Saiyan Rose Full Power Goku Black and Ultimate God Slayer Hearts the God Hater. You
Okay.
know, those guys.
Yeah.
And two Gogetas together could take on Fu.
Just Fu? After all that, he just called Fu.
I didn't realize
Dark
Fu was that
King
strong.
Fu, the artificial bio-android demon mutant. He has Saiyan, Namekian, Earthling, Majin, and Eternal Dragon
So I thought it was
DNA.
few.
Is this fan fiction?
Hearts the God Whiner claimed Fu could become an entity akin to Zeno, that little blue baby who can erase a multiverse with a thought.
But
Right,
these
yeah.
Gogetas achieved even stronger forms than before. One was in Super Saiyan Blue Evolved, the boosted form Vegeta achieved during the Tournament of Power. The other was Super Saiyan 4, but not just any Super Saiyan 4. He was Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker.
What does that
I
mean?
think my tongue is permanently twisted now.
These two forms fighting side by side implies that, at least in this iteration, both are similar if not equal in power.
Gogeta's so cool. And there are tons of people who think he'd win this matchup.
In Weekly Jump issue
Well, yeah,
28 from
obviously.
1995, the fusion dance was stated to unify Goku and Vegeta's spirits and draw out their power to the max. As
Interesting.
long as a fight with Vegito lasts less than 30 minutes, the magazine says Gogeta should win.
And then in the video game Raging Blast, there's a what-if scenario where Gogeta beats Vegito in a sparring session. But he was
Okay.
about to run out of energy, so maybe it could have gone either way.
Though with his power and skill, it's unlikely any opponent would push Gogeta to his limit. Two of the greatest warriors in history merged together as one. What more could you want as a fan? And what more could you fear as a foe?
That seems so short to me. I don't know if it actually was, but
Spring
I was
of
expecting so much more.
1995, a demonic menace has threatened to consume the world in chaos. Goku and Vegeta were pushed to the brink with only one option left: fusion! They used one of their most incredible techniques to become a merged being of unimaginable power.
Putting on the
Does this
earrings.
sound familiar?
But there wasn't time to teach Vegeta an awkward dance routine he'd ultimately despise. Instead, they used the Patara.
Only
Yeah.
the gods themselves could rock bling like this. That's right, the Patara earrings come from the Kais, the gods that supervise the universes.
By placing one earring on each person's opposite ear, the Patara forcibly fuses the two beings together, no power level matching required. In this case, Goku and Vegeta fuse to become Vegito.
Okay,
Yes.
seriously, Vegito? Couldn't they have a better name?
It's not that bad. And remember, Fusion Reborn started production well before Toriyama penned Vegito's first appearance.
So, Toei called dibs on the better name, huh? But still, shouldn't it be like Vegiko? Not like that's much
I mean,
better
I have
either.
wondered about
Why
that too.
Vegito.
It makes more sense in Japanese. Vegito is formed from the first half of Vegeta and the latter half of Kakaroto. This is why Viz Media actually translated it to Vegerot.
Oh, that one
Okay.
sucks too. Okay, board.
'Cause
now,
I
let's
did
talk
think about
how to blow
Kakarot,
shit
but
up
not-
real good.
Vegito has numerous
Kakaroto,
techniques that
you know.
are entirely his own, many of which are, fittingly, perfect combinations of Goku and Vegeta's signature moves, such as the Final Kamehameha, formed like Vegeta's Final Flash, but fired like Goku's Kamehameha wave. He's got a
Interesting.
Spirit Sword, the Saiyan Shield, and the Banshee Blast. Which, no, it's not the ghost attack you're thinking of.
With Goku
Good.
and Vegeta's powers combined, Majin Buu was no match. Super Vegito was so friggin' powerful that even being turned into candy didn't slow him down. It just made him delicious.
His level of power had transcended to such
Really?
an impressive degree that he was capable of effectively ignoring having his matter entirely altered and his DNA eradicated.
Wow.
He continued on as the incredible fighting candy.
No mouth,
That is interesting.
no brains, no organs of any kind, and he still kept slapping around that big pink ass.
Phrasing. Presumably, this is similar to how Vegeta overpowered Babidi's mind control, or
Ah.
how Goku broke through Hit's time skip with Kaioken. A greater power level can overrule basically anything a weaker one does. Though,
Weird.
to be fair, the Super Candy is a pretty extreme example.
But Vegito's a pretty extreme guy, even for the Dragon Ball multiverse. He later got that godly blue hairspray and beat the crap out of merged Zamasu, a double deity. Like a fusion dick measuring contest, but not at all close.
Though similar to his dancing counterpart, Vegito's time ran out after he overtaxed himself.
Which was kind of
So
weird.
what's that time
Back
on
in the
that?
day, they said these Potara fusions were permanent. Turns out it's only permanent for Supreme Kais. Vegito's form can last up to 1 hour before splitting apart, but can
Okay.
be shortened severely if he goes full tilt. In the manga, Vegito formed after Zamasu fused, and split apart when they expected fused Zamasu to have 20 minutes left, meaning he cut his time down to 40 minutes at most, though in the anime it was way less since he tried to quickly overpower Zamasu with a single attack.
The Potara have their own set of rules. Unlike the fusion dance, this form is maintained by the power of the earrings, not the fusers themselves. As
Okay.
such, destroying the earrings ends the fusion.
And if you
Ah.
slap the Potara on while in a Super Saiyan form, you can't power down while fused. So if Goku and Vegeta aren't careful, they can find themselves draining power when they don't need to. But surprise, Vegito's got into his own Super Dragon Ball Hero shenanigans, and he's
Of course.
got the full power Red Fur too. Look, Wiz, I think I'm having deja vu.
Fu, he's battled heavy-hitting threats to the multiverse like Cumber and Mechikabura.
And just like with Gogeta, there's plenty of people who think Vegeta would win this fight.
Daizenshus 4 and 7, basically two Dragon Ball encyclopedias,
Okay.
claim that the Potara fusion is superior to the fusion dance.
Old Kai said this too, that the Potara provide a greater effect.
Though they
Okay.
both may be referring to what was believed at the time to be a permanent fusion. Not having to worry about overspending your time limit would certainly be a greater effect. if
I
it was
mean,
true.
But hey,
Yeah.
there's nothing that can get in the way of Vegito's awesome power. Gods and demons alike are no match. When there's no one strong enough to save the day, then perhaps two will do.
Wow, interesting. That one seemed even
All right,
shorter.
the buttons are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
Hear my
It's
wish, Eternal
t-
Dragon. It's time
For a death battle and pause. Okay, so I think Vegito is going to win, in part due to meta, just with the way the death battle runs its show, because basically Vegito's part seemed shorter and more. I mean, even if it wasn't short in terms of like there wasn't as much straightforward content, I don't think, as there was in Gogeta's. In Gogeta's, they talked up a lot more of like the specific numbers, or I guess not really the numbers, but kind of the gravity of the feats, you know? Like focusing on Fu and Zeno, and that's a little blue. Zeno? Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. And then, you know, they kind of seem to gloss over a little bit more with Vegito. Now, that might just be because a lot of the things they glossed over were things they had already covered with Gogeta, but I don't think necessarily. Like, they did seem to just briefly mention, like, by the way, he also fought Fu, you know, that person that we made such a big deal of with Gogeta. And so, like, if we're saying that the fusion dance brings out their max, but the Potara earrings are more powerful than the fusion dance, which I already had that thought, you know, given that, like, one, it came later, and two, it was something that required the earrings rather than, like, you could just do it with, you know, a partner of the same power level whenever. Yeah, kind of lost my train of thought there, but like Gogeta, the fusion dance was said to bring out the max, but Potara earrings are either better, or which is, yeah, better than max, but anime can do things like that. They do things like that all the time. I remember this one, there was a Shippuden part, and they were fighting like themselves basically, and then I think it was Rock Lee who was like, oh, I see, these were made at our best, so now we just have to be better than that, and it's like, oh wow, and they won that way. Like, why wouldn't you just fight your... Anyway, that happens in anime is what I'm saying. And I saw that years ago, so I could be remembering completely wrong. But, And then there's the matter of the time limitations. So Gogeta's the fusion dance was 30 minutes, and it can be expedited through a lot of energy consumption. Vegito's was an hour and can also be expedited with energy consumption. Another thing that the fusion dance does have going for it is that, like the Patari earrings, if you destroy those, then like you're good, right? But I doubt that's going to happen considering what like Patari earrings have been through. I mean, it clearly did break. I mean, I say clearly, I'm assuming that's what they were showing when they showed like Caulifla and Kale, who they fused to be Kefla. I'll have you know, I haven't watched it, but I know that. Like, I assume that was showing them falling after the Patari earrings had broken. But again, you have like fused Zamasu to consider. You don't think that like Goku and Vegeta would target the Patara earrings if that were at all an easy task to do? Like, first they would have to like be fast enough to be able to hit them without the other person dodging, and then they'd have to be strong enough to break them. And I don't think it can be that easy. Otherwise, why would they not always be doing that when up against a fusion like they had used the Patara earrings? That doesn't make sense otherwise. They both have these extreme like power-ups and have gone up against crazy people like Fu or whatever. Mostly due to like, I think the Xenoverse or the Heroes kinds of those materials, right? But I think something that stands out to me is how there was that sort of autonomy or that overriding power that they brought up with Vegito and Buu. Because I didn't know when fighting like Super Buu that, you know, they would turn into candy and then just kept fighting. You can't do that in Xenoverse 2. I hate fighting Buu because of that. It wastes so much time when he turns you into candy. But I had no idea they could do that. So, like, I don't think that Gogeta really has anything like that where he would be able to turn Vegito into anything else anyway. I don't think there's anything where that Vegeta would need to override in that regard as far as like power level versus power level is concerned. But it's an interesting note. And I think one of Gogeta's unique things was the whole evil destroying aspect. And that's not going to be a thing with Vegito. I don't think. I mean, like, you could say that maybe, like, Vegeta definitely has some evil in him, at least in the past. I don't know how much he's had, like, a redemption arc. I know, like, he's a good guy now, but no evil left? I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. But, like, Goku, his whole thing has always been, like, you know, pure of heart Saiyan, right? Or just pure of heart Monkey Boy in the original Dragon Ball, because that was Saiyan wasn't a thing at the time. Basically, this is what it seems to me. It seems that like they're basically as powerful as each other, like in terms of strength, in terms of durability, in terms of speed, just because again, like it's Goku and Vegeta fused together, and so most of it comes just from those two, like the feats that they themselves have, and then the enemies that they went up against too, like you know, Fu again, right? And so, since they also clearly have access to the same kinds of powers, like they mentioned with the Patara earrings that you can't power down, but I don't think that they would want to power down in a fight. Like, sure, it would mean that they're using more energy if they're in, like, blue the entire time, but when they can fight for an hour like that, up to an hour, or be fused for up to an hour, I guess, but then, you know, energy is expedited. But, like, you have the same drain for Gogeta. And so since Vegito's has a higher limit, then I think the drain would ultimately be in Vegito's favor, right? Because they're both draining themselves with energy output. And since they're fighting, of course they're both going to be outputting energy. And so I think that Vegito has the advantage there just because of that longer time. I really don't think the Patara earrings are going to break. I think that yes, they could. And with that, Gogeta could win. But I don't think that in a death battle where the majority of the time, like that's what we're looking for. Who would win the majority of the time? I don't think that the Patara earrings would be broken the majority of the time. I just don't think so. So if there are big differences in speed, in power, in durability, I'm frankly unaware of them right now. I really think that it mostly just comes down to the Patara earrings just are the better fusion overall, and they have a higher time limit. And so that's more time for, you know, Vegito to do work. And then the unique thing that Gogeta has going for him with the evil slaying, I don't think that that's going to come into play in this particular matchup because Vegito isn't evil. So, I think Vegito is going to win this one. I look forward to the conclusion to see what they have to tell me afterward. Like, I really do want to see, like, a number crunch, a breakdown of this because it's interesting. But yeah, Vegito's going to win and play. Thank you, Shenron.
What is this madness?
Whoa,
Oh.
Gogeta! Am I really that much taller than you?
Stuff it, Kakarot!
You...
Chun!
It's fun with the earrings, they just slam together. The music's cool, sorry if I have to remove it. If I do, just go watch the original, you should have already.
Not bad. Want to kick it up a notch? Sure. But how about some variety?
Oh, cool. I feel like this is the more iconic Gogeta anyway. I largely know them from Dragon Ball Legends, a mobile game, and so seeing Gogeta do that move, like that's his special, and that's the green card. It's just cool to see. So he just went blue. But in the analysis, I'm pretty sure they said that his blue and Super Saiyan 4 were like identical in power. Which is interesting considering, you know, I guess GT might canonically come after Super, but you know, it's still blue power level wise.
Gotcha!
How you doing?
Guess it's now or never.
There's his evil thing! Well, his pure thing, but just, yeah. With what I assume is the final Kamehameha? Oh. It looks painful. It was right at the connection. I don't know whose blood is that? Oh. He's stone. Oh, right. Look at the fist bump was fun. That was fun.
Man, that was epic! Totally worth the wish. Though I guess we probably could have solved a lot of world problems with that.
You could
I
have.
suppose
Just
world
collect him
domination
again.
Can wait another year. This
Yeah.
fight was incredibly close. No, seriously, how could it not be? They're almost
Yeah.
exactly the same person.
With a few
Yes.
minor differences here and there, like signature attacks. Neither Vegito nor Gogeta had one single power that provided an absolute edge over the other.
Except perhaps Vegito's longer time limit, though it's not so clear-cut. Both have overtaxed their energy quick enough to end their fusions in less than 10 minutes. Time isn't the only factor, but also whatever is maintaining each fusion. Gogeta's body and Vegito's earrings. It's possible Vegito's power can actually drain the Potara faster than Gogeta's does his own body.
Still, it's twice
Okay.
the time, and that definitely gave Vegito more flexibility and strategy. So more often than not, it's safe to say Gogeta would run out of juice first.
Also, when Vegito or Gogeta defuse from power overuse, it's typically difficult for them to immediately fuse again due to that lack of energy.
But Vegito had another one over Gogeta. No matter what, he'd always have a very slight power advantage. Remember how the fusion
Oh?
dance requires the fusers to match their power levels? Well, the Potara don't need that.
Goku doesn't need to match Vegito's slightly lower power levels, so there's nothing stopping Vegito from
Oh.
combining the full sum of their parts.
Interesting.
Poor Vegeta. You'll get your day in the sun one day, buddy. Oh, who am I kidding?
This might be what Old Kai was referring to when he said the Potara had a greater effect.
That is
Hey,
an interesting
could
thought
Gogeta have
that I had not
destroyed the
considered.
earrings? Nope. he would have had to be able to overpower Vegito first, like how Goku could only destroy Kefla's earrings after he reached Ultra Instinct.
Remember, when comparing levels of power in Dragon Ball, the greater one can overrule almost anything the weaker one does. The earrings likely tend to be protected by the user's ki aura, similar to the clothing.
The only time we've ever seen Potara damaged or specifically targeted are when the wearer is overwhelmed or in a vulnerable state. If any stray ki blast could destroy them, we'd have a lot more broken earrings by now.
I would,
Lastly,
yeah.
there's some debate over their personalities. In their first appearances, Vegito seemed rather cocky and playful against Buu, whereas Gogeta was far more deliberate against Janemba, and thus far more successful. However, these are not core personality traits.
Those are
and
the
it seems
opposite
to be
of how I
inconsistent
imagined
with
them.
Vegito's serious fight with Zamasu and Gogeta's more brash fights with Broly and Omega Shenron.
Okay, yeah,
Context
like-
is key. As far as personality and mental ability goes, Gogeta and Vegito are practically identical. In the end, Vegito's higher power level, no matter how slight it was, made a big difference in protecting and maintaining his longer, more flexible timeline.
Very interesting.
Gogeta was
yeah.
gonna need meta more than that to beat Vegito.
Ah.
Wiz, I know that pun was potarible.
Wait, shut up. Earth's Dragon Balls give 2 wishes, right?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Shenron, I wish for you to fuse me and win. The winner is
Wait.
Vegito.
Craps for Vegito. I want to see their fusion. Go back
Thanks
to
for watching.
no.
And doubly thanks to our channel members for supporting us this year. Hope you've been enjoying the extra perks and content. We've got a bunch of new stuff in the works for you. If
Cool.
you aren't a champion, click that join button and give it a shot. Also, Season 10 of Death Battle is coming
Season
soon,
10.
including 2 matchups chosen by our champions. Let's see what you picked.
All right. Is that Grouty? Discord? I know Discord. He's from My Little Pony. Friendship is magic. The best My Little Pony generation. Bill Cipher versus Discord and Alex Mercer versus Cole McGrath. I don't know. Bill Cipher's from Gravity Falls, right? I've seen like a couple episodes, but I didn't have the channel, you know? And so I never watched it. But I hear it's super good and pretty short, so I could just like knock it out at some point. But Discord was great. He basically just had the power of anything goes. Yeah, he was turned to stone, and so like he's not like invulnerable, he's not untouchable, he's not infallible. But it's just chaos magic. He's the embodiment of chaos magic. He's Discord. Think Pinkie Pie, but not her. So yeah, but the other two I have no idea. That'll be interesting when those come out. So all right, let's talk about this death battle. So I was right, yay me, and I feel good about how I got this one. You know, just identifying really the time difference, because the two things that I got from the conclusion were the time difference, and Vegito has a slightly higher power level because Goku doesn't have to lower his power level in order to match Vegeta's. Which I just kind of didn't, like, I knew the matching of power levels, and yes, I didn't think about how Goku might have to lower his power level, but that was largely because, like, this was my understanding. I thought that Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta was only shown very briefly because he only went Super Saiyan 4 in the first place so that he would be able to match Goku's power levels so that they could transform into Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. That was my understanding. And so I was just going off of like, oh, well, matched power levels, cool. I wasn't thinking about having, like, one having to lower theirs to match the others. But, like, I guess what are the odds, right? That they would be at the same power level. Even if Goku wasn't stronger, I would assume that would mean Vegeta would be stronger, like in terms of just power level alone. So it does make sense that the odds are heavily in favor that someone would have to lower their power level at least a little bit, and that wasn't the case for Vegito. So that was very interesting. But considering they only brought up, I think, those two things really, I'm satisfied. I'm very satisfied with my victory and, you know, why I chose Vegito. So, yay. I think that the thing about the Potara earrings breaking, it's one of those that to me seems a little bit like they were hiding necessary information, because, you know, they basically said, yeah, the earrings can break, and if the earrings are broken, then, you know, the fusion ends. But they didn't bring up the whole, like, yeah, well, their ki aura probably protects it or something. I did have those questions. I was like, if it were that easy to break the earrings, why would they not break the earrings all the time in order to get rid of, you know, problematic fusions, right? But just one of those things where it's like, oh, well, you could only break it if you were stronger than them anyway. It's like, oh, cool, all right. So their weakness actually is not, because you would have to already be the winning team to be able to take advantage of it, and then it would just be a snowball kind of effect, right? So I don't love how they worked with that, but it also makes sense. So content. And so already I think we're kind of done talking about like the analyses and the conclusion, because there really wasn't that much different between the two. I mean, it was just, yeah, those two differences, like the time and the power level, and then I guess the Patara earrings breaking thing. And then everything else was kind of just like, yep, this is what they can do, because they're basically the same person, and so equal skill and stuff. Like different techniques, different like abilities, but virtually the same character. Oh, I will say, I really did not have that understanding of personality. Like I mentioned, I think near the beginning of the analyses, just like near the start of the video in general, that I preferred Gogeta, in part due to aesthetics. I just think Gogeta looks kind of spiffy, but also because of personality, because I thought that Gogeta was a little bit more Goku in terms of personality, and Vegito was a little bit more Vegeta. So interesting to me when you have it kind of flipped. I mean, like, they mentioned that Vegito, when first fighting Super Buu, was like more cocky, was playing with him a little bit more. You could still totally attribute that to Vegeta. He would totally, if he thinks he's better than someone, he'd totally like laud that over them. But Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, that definitely seemed more Goku, just like the fits of laughter, you know, like the stomach cleansing. That seemed more like him. But I guess it really just goes back and forth. It's not that one personality is like dominant over the other. It's just that they can express themselves when they want to. So that's cool to know, because I did not previously. So now let's talk about the fight. I liked the music. Again, apologies if I had to remove it for copyright. That happens sometimes. But again, if that did happen, just like go watch the original. It's worth it. But like, I liked the fight, okay? Let's start with that. I liked the fight, but I didn't love the fight. I thought there were a lot of cool moments, but most of those cool moments were because I got to have that moment of recognition where I was like, oh yeah, I saw that like in the anime, or I remember that from this mobile game that I've been playing, you know? Like I got to point out like, oh, that's his special card. Oh, that's his, you know, green special move card. It's dumb. They have like special move and special skill or something like that, but it's the blue one and the green one. And so, you know, it was more just like the fan servicey kinds of elements that I enjoyed. But I have to say that I felt a lot of the fight actually seemed awkward. The movements, I don't think that they worked super well as 3D models. At the very least, not necessarily the way that they worked with it. Because I think a big part of Dragon Ball and the fights and everything there is like the blurs and the stretches and like the moving at incredible speeds and everything like that the 3D models were doing. It just seemed a lot more like stiff and clunky and slow. And maybe I've just been watching different anime or playing different games where the movements just, seem a lot more fluid. Or maybe it is just like a budgetary thing. But I didn't love the movement in this, and I just think movement is a fairly big part in Dragon Ball fights. So like it was cool to recognize the techniques they were using, but the fight itself, like the punches, the kicks, they didn't really land for me. I do wish there were a little bit more of like a story or some kind of introduction at the beginning. Like it's cool that they're in the room of spirit and time, or the chamber, or whatever it is, the hyperbolic time chamber, whatever you want to call it, whatever its name actually is. I'm pretty sure that's where they were. But they were both just kind of there. Like, they, meaning like the four of them, the Goku and Vegeta that would become Gogeta, and the Goku and Vegeta that would become Vegito. And they're just like, hey, you're short. And then they start fighting. So I was, it introduced them as existing in the same plane, but it didn't give an explanation as to why they both were there or why they started fighting. I don't think, or if they did, I don't think it was memorable because I'm not remembering it, but I am tired, to be fair. So, hello, this is Riz from the future. I realized while editing why the fight started the way that it did. So I just kind of thought the Shenron was put in because he's Shenron and that's such a key part of Dragon Ball, right? But no, it's specifically because Wiz and Boomstick, or Boomstick in particular, wished for Gogeta and Vegito to fight. So that's why they were there and that's why they started fighting. I do still kind of wish that there was a little bit more to it as far as like why they started fighting in particular. You know, why they just suddenly got there, that makes more sense with Wish. And it makes sense that they would just start fighting because they were wished to. That was the sole purpose of them being there. But, you know, like, it works, but I like a story. I just wanted to point out that it had not occurred to me at the time. I only thought of it while editing. Back to the video. Yeah, I think that's about all I have to say. Overall, I enjoyed it. Was it my favorite? No. I actually enjoyed more what they did with like the introduction of the episode itself and like the little bits thrown into the analyses than I did the animation of the fight. I still enjoyed the fight. It was still entertaining, but I think that it could have and should have been a lot better for what it was. Not only the hype of a Gogeta versus Vegito match, but also, you know, the season finale of Death Battles. So I wish it had been better, but, you know, I still liked it for sure. So let me know what you all thought about this death battle in the comments below, whether you liked it, whether you disliked it, what you thought about this or that, etc., so on and so forth. And next time, we will be watching Hercules versus Sun Wukong. I think it's in that order. But yeah, so hope you're looking forward to that. So with that, we're calling it here. So have a good one, everybody.